Hey everybody, welcome back to SMT Nocturne. Today we will be taking on a bunch of Fiends, except for one that you will not be seeing in the Let's Play, that being Red Rider. So before we get started with our Black Rider fight, as it plays as post-commentary for the whole episode, by the way, I beat Red Rider, but I forgot to record it somehow. For some reason, this is what happens when I do stuff at night. I thought I was recording it, I wasn't. I only learned about it, like, maybe hours later, and I think I had already saved over the file that had it, so you will not see the Red Rider fight. Fortunately, it's a Rider fight, which effectively means it's some of the more uninteresting boss fights. Not to really take anything away from these guys, but to be quite honest, they are not... Once you fought one, you kind of get the gimmick for them, so you guys seeing 3 of the 4 horsemen... still kind of okay. But we'll be covering today Black Rider, Pale Rider, their leader, as well as the Fiend that is inside the Labyrinth of Amala, which will be interesting, as well as Mother Harlot. So we have a lot to cover. So first off, Black Rider. Now I'm trying to remember how Black Rider works. He's kind of dumb. I think before we super jump into him, Red Rider, some people are playing along and are having issues with him. His main gimmick was he had 2 assistants that would constantly cast Tarukaja to boost his power, and he would do big spread attacks that would kill you. I beat that by having Daisojo use meditation to suck all their MP out, and then never killing them and focusing on the boss, because they would keep using Tarukaja and not be able to get it to work. This guy seems to be a little bit simpler. Like, he has some interesting moves here. Let me actually pull up the guide I've been using so I can give you a bit more clarity on this. Because at the time of this post-commentary recording session, I have already beaten the game. So I'm just, you know, going back into my editing here and making sure I give you guys all the info. So, pretty much you want to have the Jed Magatama here, because pretty much your skills that I'm using here are just usual stuff like Fog Breath and War Cry and stuff like that, just to keep it down. But other than that, I'm just doing my tried and true strategy of just hitting really hard. He drains fire, and that's pretty much the only thing that he deals with, because honestly I don't use Curse, Nerve, Expel, any of those types of skills, because in my mind I'm like, do those do damage? No? I think I'm fine. Well, we also got Tarukaja, because we got Valkyrie working in on that, so we can slowly start doing a good amount of damage. And I am now realizing the post-commentary on this game, after having beaten it, definitely helps me go, wow, these are the demons I went into the game at one point. And I'm like, man, nice little blast from the past of, you know, maybe a week ago. But these guys, the strategy I'm doing is pretty foolproof. I don't actually see it, you know, falling apart or doing anything bad. He has some very annoying moves. Soul Divide, as you can see, is an expel type of technique. As a result, when it hits, it cuts my health in half. So it brought me down, dealt 189, which is half of 378. So moves like that, you don't have to be super worried, but the main fear comes from not being able to deal with it. I just did about 1,400 damage. One thing you have to know is that with your main character, the Demi-Fiend, focusing on magic is not the best idea. What I've learned is that working on a really good physical setup is amazing for that. Like, you do ridiculous amounts of damage. How much? Like, endgame, and this is without trying to grind and be a super tryhard about it, I can do like 3,000. 3,000 with my buffs, and that is spectacular. It feels good to hit those high damage points. But overall, this is the Black Rider boss fight. Again, he's not too difficult because the difference between him and other bosses is the fact that he doesn't have any moves that are going to absolutely wreck your team. So, doing your buffs and unleashing strong attacks, you're going to kill him. You're going to kill him, and it's great. Another tip I learned that I never really went and tried it, was anytime you fight a boss that summons adds being additional enemies, and continues to revive them, if you feel like you can kick ass, maybe it's in your best interest to continuously kill the adds over and over and over again before you beat the boss, and boom, you get even more experience, because that guy gives off 5,000, got about 700 from the legions. Helps out. But with that, we're done with Black Rider, and we're going to immediately move on to the next Fiend fight. Feels weird to do post-commentary. Fun fact, I did post-commentary for most of my Let's Play stuff back in the day, back when I was first starting out. But I ended up going full live commentary on this channel back when I started it in 2009. I believe I did the first attempt of an Odin Sphere Let's Play in post. Didn't really like it, that's why you have a live version of that up. And the old one is never to be seen again. So this is Pale Rider, if you'll excuse me, let me go ahead and look him up so I remember what he did. After a number of fights, yes, Pale Rider is a bit different. And yeah, I see, Pale Rider is a bit of an annoying guy. He summons 2 Loas. Now these Loas know a very powerful technique known as Debilitate. If you've not seen my other LPs of SMT games, you will not know that, you may not know, that Debilitate is a move that lowers your the entire enemy party's attack, defense, and agility by 1 stage. And that is amazing when you think you're debuffing an entire party 1 stage. That's actually a really good move. In this game, it doesn't mean as much because this is back when debuffs were so much stronger in SMT. That's kind of funny to say. A lot of things in this game were less convenient and less exploitable, but debuffs and buffs were much more exploitable in these games, because you can get everyone in them. But, Debilitate and say, like, Persona 4 and Persona 3, really good, because buffs can only target certain people unless you're using Marakunda instead of Rakunda, as an example. But these guys are going to try and use Debilitate. This guy also absorbs ice, so that's not a good idea, but I'm double checking, but it's looking like I just do the same strategy. So he'll run Debilitate, trying to weaken your party. The longer the fight goes on, you can slowly start losing because your stats are going to be lowered. So the whole point is to do as much damage as you can in the beginning, while being still powerful enough to hit hard. Other than that, we just raise our dodge and lower their aim with Fog Breath and Sukukaja. The other thing that is also kind of dangerous is I'm not super keen on hitting the Loa in general, these ads, because, as has been stated in places, these things, when they're damaged, like to do Last Resort, which will target, and they'll just kill themselves to do insane damage, and I'm not looking to do that, so really, I have to keep them around, which sucks. One way to kind of make this easier and not worry about the debilitates and the stone gaze and stuff would be to use meditation, because to be honest, Daisojo is a very easy fiend to fuse into. He's like level 37, and at this point you should be at that level. And if you just spam meditation, he tends to take about 80 MP a pop. So do a couple of those, any default enemy is not going to be able to do shit anymore, which can really kind of screw over a lot of these enemies, except for their like physical attacks. But you will notice, like, for the rest of the LP, the main strategy for my character, for Demi-Fiend / KZ / whatever the fuck his name is that whenever we get to the point where we're fighting a boss that is not physical resistant, it's me focusing, my other people lowering hit rate with Fog Breath or using Taunt to get defense down, and then me unleashing whatever my strongest attack is, because it's a very good strategy, to be honest. Going in and like hitting as hard as you can with that's pretty much what your main character is pretty much made for. You can focus on having your other party members be the main magic guys, because to be honest, all the strongest attacks and benefits that you're going to get in the entire game are going to be toward physical attacks. That is your bread and butter with your main character, so you're going to want to do that. It does kind of suck whenever you're gonna find out that you have to fight forced magic-only fights. We've already seen that in the Let's Play, if I recall, with the Grimakala boss fight. And it sucks to have to fight those types of things, but you're gonna have to ultimately deal with it. It comes down to using magic items if you have them or passing. But you also saw the other bad benefit of this boss fight that the boss gets is that whenever you're fighting him and one of his ads uses Last Resort, it heals him for some fucking reason. Well, I don't know why, I don't know the technicalities of it. I'm willing to bet it's some random thing they just added specifically for the boss. I mean, they do that with one of the optional Oni boss fights I never showed off, which was, Kinki, which I believe I mentioned in a previous episode when going through the Ikebukuro tunnel, where he had weaknesses, but they didn't count them as weaknesses, so you would just not get the free turns, which was dumb. But overall, this boss, the final rider, is not too bad. Again, if you find yourself not being able to beat certain fiends, and they're not, like, blocking your way, then feel free to just continue on with the story. I highly suggest using a guide and finding out, like, you know, when to fight fiends, or even better, try not to fight all the fiends as early as possible at once so you are not blocked off by certain fiends in the game that are like, no, you're doing too good, we're gonna stop your progress until you can take us on. Which there are, I believe, 4 different points in the entire game that do that. Actually 5 in total. First one would be Matador. Second one would be, Hellbiker. Third one would be, White Rider. Fourth one would be Pale Rider, because he blocks your way if you've defeated all of the other riders. And the fifth one is the final one in the game, which, is gonna be Trumpeter, which, again, spoilers, but to be honest, these are optional bosses, and you know, I even acknowledge it's got to be the last one once we start running out of these guys, to be honest. Because, to be honest, we're almost done with them. So much so that we're moving on to yet another one. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have to go all the way to Yoyogi Park for this one. We have to go back to the main area of Yoyogi Park. This is the one that we will reach after leaving Shinjuku Medical Center. And then we find this lovely hot anime skeleton, because they're all skeleton-based. Mother Harlot. What else did I want to talk about? Yeah, again, sorry for not being able to record Red Rider, but counting all of the bosses that are here, there's going to be one more fiend after this video is done, because we will have defeated Matador, Daisojo, Hellbiker, and then we will have defeated the 4 Horsemen, which makes 7. Number 8 would be that dumbass bony bitch we're fighting now. The other one that we're fighting in the Labyrinth of Amala, which makes 9. Trumpeter, which will be later, that makes 10. And the 11th Candelabrum is ours. So, that's really how that goes. Which also means once you put all the things on the 4th Kalpa, Candelabrum-wise, you will have everything you need to open the 5th one. But there are bosses in the 4th one. Oh boy, is there a boss there. But yeah, most of the side content, with the exception of the boss of the 5th Kalpa, will be in post-commentary. Because those bosses are hard, and I don't want to have to count on, like, doing live commentary, because it's very inconvenient, and it was made the LP take a lot longer to do. Then because I feel like not everything has to be me, like, doing a lot of, you know, panic live commentary, just given how many attempts this takes. Now, this one is a completely blind fight against Mother Harlot. She's a bitch, okay? She's a bit of a bitch. Let me look, but she is not as bad as I'm selling her. She's not super bad. She's got 5,000 HP, which is another thing. But it's another battle where you must rely on magic, which is kind of the most annoying part of this. Excuse me. You must rely on magic. Fire, ice, and force. She drains electricity and repels physical, so once again, I'm kind of useless in this fight. But since she's lightning-based, you equip the Narakami Magatama to help ensure a win. And the game also suggests using any kind of demon that can drain electricity. The guide recommended Feng Huang, and I believe they recommended that one because because it should be closer to your level. I didn't have that luxury, so instead we have Raiju. Raiju had a couple of benefits, one being the ability to get fucking destroyed immediately. But he had Drain Electricity and he also had a Makakaja. At this point, I'm like, oh god, what the fuck am I gonna do now? And really, I just decided to summon Horus at this point. Alright, but let me see. Another cool thing about Harlot, which might be a reason if you ever want to defuse her, is it looks like her default physical attack is 6 hits, like 6 mini hits. Or, like, not 6, maybe 7. It looks like she has 7 heads on that whatever she rides. Because I've also seen people use it, and it looks like that's just generally how it works, and I feel like focusing in tandem with those hits can just do ridiculous damage. But, as far as bosses go, it's pretty by the numbers, let's be honest here. You're gonna be going in, you're gonna be beating on her with constant magic attacks, and that's pretty much the fight. There's not too much to commentate on. She has a couple of different, like, special abilities, like Death Lust, which can be annoying. I believe that is something that can charm me, I think. Yep. So, big thing you want to do is, you know, try and debuff. Make sure to use Dekunda fairly often, just to make sure that you don't have any sort of debuffs on your character. And it'll be one of the longer fights, in terms of the Fiend fights, overall. So, we may need to recover MP, but I don't think I actually need it for this, overall. They actually kind of tell you to go ahead and fight the Harlot before Black Frost, but to be honest, this is much harder than Black Frost was, so... they just give you the option to do it, like, you know, whenever you want to. The one cool thing is that this is probably the last fight in which I get to exploit my Tornado skill. Because I start going full-on physical toward the rest of the Let's Play. And being able to use Tornado is great, just because they give it to you, they give access to it so early, because if I recall, Tornado is heavy winded damage randomly. That's good. I never get a single character that knows Tornado, but it's so strong. I think the other thing you gotta watch out for, it's the one thing that reminds me that this game can fucking kick you in the teeth, is this game loves exploiting the Dragon's Eye move. Now, I knew about Dragon's Eye because it's, I believe it's called, like, War Rage or Bloody Rage in Digital Devil Saga, where someone's like, alright, I just want 4 turn icons, you know, just to keep myself going because I'm running weaker. And in that game, you had maybe 1 or 2 bosses do that. There are a shitload of bosses in this game, and a shitload of them do Dragon's Eye, just to get a bunch of extra turns. And whenever that comes in, you know that, 1, you're doing really well, and they want you to fuck right off. And 2, the most important thing, is that things are about to suck. I believe even the final boss of the game uses Dragon's Eye, so... it's something to watch out for. At this point, I don't actually have much more to commentate on, but I kind of wanted to show each boss uncut. I'm doing a lot of cutting on the next Fiend fight, which I'm sure you guys know what it is. It's very Capcom-y. And, I cut out a lot of it just so I can use the fight to also explain mechanics of stuff outside the fight. But, I'm gonna be saying a lot of things throughout the Let's Play, and I was thinking about saying, like, my plans for endings and stuff, and people wondering, you're doing a lot of optional bosses, do you plan on doing the game's hardest and ultimate final boss that comes with a free ending? And I don't plan on doing that one immediately. You will hear me in the Let's Play talk about doing it, but as a person from the future who has officially, you know, decided that I'm not going to be doing it immediately, I can tell you that I'm not. Like, immediately. Just because I am actually burned out on this game. I'm, like, completely... After beating the game and getting that high, I realized that I can't play any more of the game because I'm way too burned out on this specific game, because I pretty much took the game on and destroyed it in about 9 days or something. Like, something ridiculous like that, like maybe 10 days, so... I am pretty done with this game. Commentating on it, I'm perfectly fine doing, because, you know. But, before I take on, the Rebel King of Hell, I think I need a very lengthy break from the game. That being said, I do enjoy the game. You'll hear me kind of criticize it at points, but I still enjoy it, or else I wouldn't be here talking about it. So, that is the Mother Harlot boss fight, and another candelabra is ours, bringing us to level 51. Funnily enough, I actually looked into it. It says we're the Adept Naoki Kashima. You can actually change what class you are, and it's based on, I believe, your level in tandem with what Magatama you use, which are neutral colored ones, dark ones, and light ones. Yes, it doesn't matter if you have a light Magatama being used or a dark one based on color. It kind of messes with your alignment and can make you get a different demon later on in the game. Through the Amala Labyrinth. But now we're gonna cut. Still the same recording. I kind of just started talking louder. We're gonna go fight Dante. Fucking in the third Kalpa is actually the shortest one in the game, I think. You can, like, get through a couple of doors that are strength-based, where you have to have, like, 25 strength. Open those up, go down some stairs, and Dante is like, hey. And this is the point where the game's plot's starting to open up a bit. Where Dante, pretty much says, yo, you're being used by the old guy. And this whole fiend nonsense seems to be... You don't seem to be being told everything about it. So he pretty much asks you, hey bro, do you really want to do this? Do you really want to go out on a limb and do this? And you know, you can say no. And after you essentially say no, he'll kick you out of that room. And if you go back in, well, it starts. Now, I need to educate you guys on something I don't like. You know what I don't like in JRPGs? JRPGs with minigames. And guess what? Dante's the biggest minigame in the entire world. He has a very stupid gimmick that I can get into at the very least here. So, basically, how the minigame is supposed to work is that he is supposed to essentially chase you, and if he catches you, he fights you by hitting you with a stinger and then leaving. His stinger move can instant kill at a random chance. And after he does that, immediately runs, kicks you out of the room, and taunts you. And the whole goal of the game is to get to the end of the Kalpa and then face off with them. So, I've decided to cut out all of it because fuck it! You need to understand it. It's literally the worst thing in the world. He chases you around different corridors. You have to juke him. Go into rooms with little mini labyrinths to activate switches. It's horrible. It is horrible, and he has a random chance of hitting you with Stinger and game overing you. But every time you beat a level of his thing, he will leave. He'll completely leave and move on to the next one, and he won't bother you there. So once you beat all of them, go back and save. And then you get the big final fight with Dante, which actually is probably one of my favorite boss fights in the whole game. So, what I think is really cool about Dante as a boss is that he has one of the most loyal, like, transitions to any type of like character being thrown from a character action like spectacle fighter into a JRPG. He has all his moves. He has his regular sword slash. He has his ebony and ivory gunplay. He has an upgraded version of his gunplay. He has things that reference his style meter. Like, he has Stinger. It's really loyal and really good. And the music used, like, is a good mix of SMT style with stuff that works for Dante as a character. The only problem is that he's based on Devil May Cry 2 Dante, which arguably, which arguably DMC2 was one of the better DMC games, but at the very least, his design in this game looks cool. He fits fine in this game. I don't know about Raido Kuzunoha, I just know if I go up on Tumblr on the Japanese version of this where it's not Dante and it's Raido, that people just want the main character to fuck him. So other moves, he's got Round Trip, does electric damage, Bullet Time, which is my favorite move he does because it looks so fucking cool. All of his moves are just really cool, but a lot of them aren't like, hey, I'm going to end your game with these, to be honest. If you're at a decent level, you can very much focus on getting one heal, and you'll be perfectly fine. In addition, after this fight, we'll be seeing another plot dump from the peepholes here said by the assistant to the old man that we're working for. So once we see that, the episode will end, and man, my throat's killing me. I'm just going at this, dude. Just one take, KZ, just one take. But overall, Dante was a very fun boss to fight, but he is definitely one of the easier ones to take care of. He doesn't really seem to go for any of the status effects. He just is going to throw some powerful attacks at you. So have a dedicated healer, and you'll win. Just have a dedicated healer. You'll win, because you'll do like one decent attack, and then it's probably something a little bit weak. Toward the end, he goes for 2 strong attacks, and he has one moment where he does a very good amount of damage, but other than that, he's pretty easy. He's not too bad. Not too bad off. I definitely recommend Daisojo. All of the bosses in this game have a crazy amount of NP, so what you can do is have Daisojo just spam prayer to heal, and whenever he's low off, make sure you're well prepared, have him do a meditation, get some of that magic back. And that's the fight, pretty much. Until he does something different on screen, I won't be able to talk about anything else further. But what I will say is I really didn't like his minigame. I mean, you're running around, and there are a bunch of twists and turns in it, and you have to activate switches to open up the next areas in the Kalpa. And I just don't like it I don't like it in general because I'm playing a JRPG, and I'm not a fan of just random nonsense, you know? It's like, I don't want a random minigame, I just want to fucking fight it, because I'm not playing a JRPG for mix-ups in the gameplay. At the very least, I don't recall there being random battles in the chase, which I gotta say, effectively makes it better. So there is that. But I wouldn't even say it's very badly designed. It's a good idea. Like, it's a good idea to have it in there, because it effectively is stuff that's supposed to mix up the gameplay in some way. Because normally it would just be, hey, going to fights, and sometimes it can get monotonous. But there's stuff like that that helps try to add to the gameplay as a whole. Just having some stuff just to clean things up. Don't mind the dogs, by the way. At this point, I'm all in on this fucking recording, so no way in hell I'm giving up now. So, really, there's not much else to say. His best move is his move Showtime, which I forget if he showed or not because I was checking my recording. But, other than that, it's pretty good. I think he used it. There it is, there's Showtime. Bingo, are you ready? Showtime, as a big, really cool reference to the style ranks of going from B to A to S and stuff is really good. But this was his best move. He went to Showtime, hits up Rebellion. Rebellion is a physical attack that has a very high crit chance, and then doing another move. It's like really good. But other than that, you've seen every move he can do, and the fight's just about over. So, we're just gonna start punching him in the tooth. And that's it for Dante. Very cool boss, and a very cool amount of experience. And we get another level up. I don't think I did much editing, so we don't go directly to the peephole, so I'll have some time to close things out. So at this point we have life aid being given to us, and it's at this point that I decided to get rid of Tornado. We are now all in on physical now. That's just it. We went from wanting to be a mage to wanting to be a titan. It's very interesting. Once again, Dante proving he's awesome. And in true Dante fashion, he's like, well, I'm not going to do exactly what my employer might want. So, he's just going to go ahead and try and see how things go. And he's essentially saying, yo, I'm going to back off from you. You're kind of cool. He's like, yo, I got this candelabra. Don't ask where it was in my butt. And then he kind of throws it at you. He's like, hey, I don't know what this old guy's got up his sleeve, but, you know, we'll cross paths again, surely. But just like that, we got yet another candelabra. It brings our total up to 10. We only need one more from Trumpeter. And at this point, I'm like, yeah, I won. I did it. And there's also battles in that room. It makes me go, no. There's not enough safe spots in this game. Like, make this a safe spot. It's like there's nothing else to the fucking dungeon. Just, hey, I'm just making suggestions for their HD remaster. And with that, we're going to the peephole, get some more plot. Thank you so much for watching another episode of Nocturne. Enjoy the dump of exposition. I'll see you guys next time. Wee.